What's up, everyone? Jason Gilbo here. With me is Matt Vaselli breaking down tonight's stacking options. 10 games. It's a really bad pitching slate, so it's going to open up, I think, more stacking opportunities than usual.
Yeah, we talked before the show. Just a bunch of guys we want to attack here. It's crazy. Like I said before, Conley's 5,800 on the list. He's the eighth cheapest pitcher at 5,800, which is just ridiculous. So we have so many different options we can go tonight. Let's start with the New York game.
Yeah, you got the Mets heading over to the Bronx. You got Luis Cessa taking on Rafael Montero. Yankee stack, it's been one that's kind of lost and forgotten over the last few weeks. A lot of these guys are starting to kind of come back down to earth. Especially Aaron Judge, but full stack really back in play here. Gardner, Hicks, Judge, Gregorius, Sanchez. Some of their prices have come down too, and obviously the ballpark helps. And Montero's, we haven't really seen anything out of him since he's come up into the majors.
Yeah, Judge is the only one that's really. I guess Sanchez is 4,500, but 4,500 catchers are always good GPP plays just because who the hell is going to do that? But Judge, Sanchez, they're kind of on the pricey end. But yeah, like you said, Gardner 4,000. Hicks is I actually really like Aaron Hicks. I think he's a solid player that really helps the Yankees lineup and defensively. He's 3,800. Didi's 3,800. I wish Castro was healthy. He'd be nice in here. But yeah, those five, I think those are the clear-cut five. I don't see a reason to play Headley or Frazier over any of those five.
No, I don't either, and especially at third base. You look at Didi, and as you mentioned, Hicks, both over a 200 ISO against righties this year. Obviously, they benefit from the short porch out and right. Right around a 6-run total. I think, obviously, Coors is on this slate, but I think the Yankees is probably my first hedge stack away from Coors.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We got some more to talk about, but they're definitely one of the top ones. I don't think Montero's good.
No. And the Mets on the other side, they do have some lefties there, obviously. But I just think Cessa, he's not good, but I just think he gets through 5, and then it's just they got to deal with that bullpen. I just don't think it's enough there.
Yeah, I don't really see merit for it tonight.
Tampa, Toronto, 2-team totals over 5. Nick Tepsch versus Jake Odorizzi. I like the J stack here just because I do feel like they have a little bit more pop, but I'm not going to say that Tampa's not intriguing at their prices.
Yeah, I think this game's just in general is interesting. Rizzi kind of owns Toronto, but you like Donaldson only hits 2 something off him, but he's had 5 hits off him in his career and 4 homers. Like he's just total boom bust. Talk about a nice one-off play tonight. He's definitely one of them. You don't know there, and I don't even know what to think about Tepich because if he starts getting rocked, then Tampa's going to be a great stack because then you get that Toronto bullpen. Like this game's weird for me. I'm going to have to really look into this game.
The Rays are interesting. I just think because of the pricing, it's kind of a bummer because I'm not really paying it for pitching tonight. If obviously Greinke or Quintana were in better starts and kind of performing better, I think Tampa would be a great value stack because on DraftKings, Dickerson 3,600, Duda 35, Longoria 31, Logan Morrison 3.6. All really cheap. So I think they're an interesting stack if you wanted to kind of maybe play the expensive one-offs from other teams, like play Blackman within that stack. If that's the route you want to go, I'm not going to be against that.
I was thinking maybe you go Tampa and then you go pair it with Atlanta or Colorado.
Yeah, because obviously I look at those teams. Freeman's third base eligible now. I can play Logan Morrison at first base. I can play Dickerson or Duda, whatever you got some choices to make, but there's definitely options there. And I feel like they're actually in a really good spot.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. They're not, Sue's at 3,700 being the most expensive is crazy, but that gives you maybe, you go mid-tier pitching or you go to the low tier. We'll talk about a couple guys that we kind of like, that gives you the opportunity to go, a few guys over 5,000 and then hit these 3,700, 3,400, 3,000 guys on Tampa, and you got a double stack with a core stack and this one that you like with upside.
Yeah, I definitely think it's intriguing.
There's another team though around this area that we talked about late that I think I like better though.
Yeah, definitely. And so on the Toronto side, I don't know. I'm kind of on the hinge. I think it's probably better one-off or two-off plays.
Yeah, I think here for me, it's probably sprinkling a little bit of Donaldson, and I just think Smoke's been so good that you have to have him somewhere. But besides that, that's it for me.
Yeah, no, but yeah. San Francisco, Miami, you got Adam Conley versus Ty Blatch. Obviously Stanton taking on the lefty with how hot he's been. The problem is you can't clone him and play him multiple times. So I think that's the only thing that sucks about this Miami stack.
Yeah, there's only two guys in play for me tonight. Him and 3,800 for Marcell Ozuna against the lefties a steal, I think.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind Ozuna. I'll definitely add in Real Muto at 3,300 on DK.
Yeah. If you need a cheap guy or if you want to go a little three-man right there, that I think that's where you go.
Yeah. And I think on the San Francisco side, I mean, they're cheap. I think Posey, Hunter Pence are interesting too, the two guys there, but that's it.
Yeah, I don't actually like San Fran tonight. I do agree Posey and Pence probably in play, but I think Conley's in play more.
Yeah, I definitely don't disagree there. Cincinnati, Chicago, Jose Quintana versus Asher Wojciechowski. We're going to look at the Cubs here first. Obviously, a team total that's right up around 6. And once again, I mean, you get outside of Rizzo and Bryant, these guys are pretty cheap, like Avila, like Hayward, Schwarber, Zobrist. And obviously, they haven't been the most consistent options, but those are a couple of lefties that can really get after Asher here.
Yeah, this is just the ultimate Cubs score 2 or Cubs score 12 spot.
Totally. It seems to be how they go.
Yeah, and it's just like, who do you take here though? If you take them, like you want some of the lefties, and Contreras is out, so Avila's going to play. So you're going to go Avila, Schwarber, Rizzo, but then what? You're just going to toss in like Bryant, Happ, or Bryant or Jay, or what? Like,
yeah,
how do you really stack this team tonight? Bryant, Hayward, like.
I think it's John Jay. I mean, if he's leading off, I think that's always an interesting case. He's not a huge upside guy, though, for me. So I think I kind of rather take a guy with a little bit more home run potential. Now, obviously, yeah, and you kind of look at some of these guys, and obviously there's not a huge difference because, Avila's been pretty cold. Hayward's obviously been cold. Schwarber's, finally shown some upside of late.
Zobrist is kind of cold, but he's 3K.
Yeah, and so I kind of think, I think for me it's Bryant, Rizzo, Zobrist, Schwarber, Avila.
Yeah, okay. I just feel like, yeah, even though the lefties are what's going to work here, like we always talk about, if you're stacking a team, you're always, hoping you take a couple of the other side of the plate because you're hoping for the bullpen. And, I mean, Chris Bryant reached base 12 times this weekend.
Yeah.
Like 12 times in 3-game series. Like he was on fire,
Yeah, I mean, he was red hot. And that's kind of one of the plays it's like, Arenado might be out tonight where, third base becomes obviously a weaker spot when you take out Coors. But, Freeman right there, I think he's going to draw a lot of ownership tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think so, too, even though Bettis is worse against righties than lefties. But still, it's Freddie Freeman. He can do anything he ever wants.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you have Donaldson down there. Third base is going to be an interesting – we have some other third basemen we'll probably talk about. There's a bunch of third basemen tonight, so maybe even if you have Bryant as a one-off, he might not be as high owned as you thought he would.
No, I definitely agree. And on the red side, I think Duvall and Eugenio Suarez are probably the only two that would really look at. Maybe a Cozart.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe an outside shot of the Cozart, but besides that, I mean, let's see. Hold on, what about 21? Excuse me. What about 2,100 for Mesoraco?
Hey, I mean, tonight's a night where I can see myself punting, a few spots because really, some of these bats that I just do want to get, they are really expensive.
You know what I'm saying? 2,100. There's a chance there. I think just a small chance that I might take them.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, we name 4 guys who rattle off 4 reds, but I see them as more as one-offs.
Yeah, I don't think I could stack them.
No. Detroit and Texas, Martin Perez versus Mike Fulmer. Let's talk this Detroit side first. Ian Kinsler, Miguel Cabrera, both questionable for today's game. Obviously, I think that make or breaks the stack because obviously if you're getting those two out of it, it's not going to be really a good lineup. So if they're in, Kinsler, Matuk, Upton, Castellanos, Cabrera, I think that's a great 5 against lefties there.
Dude, you forgot the best guy against lefties on the whole team.
James McCann.
James McCann. That's my guy. I love James McCann. I think I do like Matuk too. He's been good. But I think if one of those two are out, you could still stack them with the 4 that you said plus McCann.
Yeah. I think if one of those guys are out, if we don't get a Kinsler, I'm not going to cry about it. If we don't get Cabrera, I'm not going to cry about it. But if they're both out, it loses a little bit of appeal for me. But a lot of these guys, I mean, Castellanos, McCann, both over a 300 ISO against lefties this year. Same with Justin Upton, who's been red hot too.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're in a good spot tonight. And like we always say, well, you never know with Martin Perez, but he's hot and cold. Had a good start last time, but a couple starts before that got roughed up a little bit. He's just that guy that goes like 3 solid innings, then like unravels in the 4th and 5th, and then you can't trust him pitching because you never know. But we talk about a good stack. If they get to Perez tonight, which I think they can with this lineup, Texas' bullpen is terrible, and it's just going to be icing on the cake.
Yeah, you look at Perez. I mean, he's given up some good stacking opportunities. I mean, obviously shut down the Mets, but at Minnesota, 7 earned. Home against Baltimore, 8 earned. I mean, usually Perez has been a guy where he kind of goes 5 or 6 innings, gives up 3 to 5 earned runs, and that's really it. But now it's not so much this year.
Yeah, and I mean, even if he gave up 5 runs in 6 innings, like that'd be okay because you probably get 2 to 3 more runs with the bullpen in those last 3 innings. And I mean, 8 runs for a stack is fine.
Yeah, and the Tigers are not expensive at all.
No, exactly.
So you were kind of interested in a Texas stack in terms of tournaments, which I don't mind because Fulmer, a bad environment, first start off the DL, hasn't really pitched all that great this season. He's been pretty average.
Yeah, I like them. It's going to be interesting to see, excuse me, exactly what happens with Fulmer with that elbow injury, if he's going to be on a pitch count. Exactly what happens here. But like you said, last time he was in a hot environment, he got roughed up by Kansas City. So I think this is a Gallo spot for sure. But just the top guys I want I think they're too pricey. I think I'd rather go other spots.
Yeah, look at this Texas side. This is definitely one of those ones where if you're building a lot of lineups, I think you toss in a Texas stack because out of the guys that we've talked about so far, and then we haven't even gotten into cores yet, Texas is probably the last time I listened to teams that I actually want to stack.
Yeah, I mean, other than the ones like that we don't like at all, like San Fran and the Mets, But like the ones that we've actually talked about, they're probably bottom. I just think they're a good GPP play. Potential, depending on – I need to find out other factors, like I said, potential pitch count, stuff like that for Detroit – for Fulmer, excuse me. But, I mean, I agree they're at the bottom, but I'm just going to have to read more up on it and see exactly where I have them tonight. But I do like some more teams besides them.
Yeah. Branching into cores, we got Chad Bettis taking on Julio Teheran. This is kind of a weird game because – look at Teheran. This is a spot, obviously, the lefties scream out at you like Gerardo Parra, Charlie Blackmon, but that's all they really have. I mean, obviously, Cargo's back at home. I mean, he hasn't been great this year, but I usually just like lining up lefties against him and, possibly no Arenado. Coors might be just a good one-off spot, coming from the Colorado side.
Yeah. I'm sure Arenado is going to be out tonight. I mean, I know it was negative X-rays, and it's just a left-hand contusion. But I'm sure he'll at least be out 1 or 2 games. Blackmon, 58. Like here's my thing though. I don't think Blackman's a bad play at all. I love, and I can just see it now. Not me bashing him, but I can just see now Charlie Blackmon leadoff home run against Tehran. I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
But for 100 less. For the hottest hitter in baseball and Stanton against a weak lefty, wouldn't you rather have that?
I'm playing both.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Then. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean, though. Like, if I had to pick one, I don't really know because they're both in such great spots. I think I'd tend to favor Stanton just because, like, what isn't he doing right now?
Yeah. No, I mean it's true. I that's kind of the things I'm looking at this Colorado stack, and they go. LeMahieu was never really a guy that I play against righties. Possibly no Arenado. You're going to get someone moved up like a Mark Reynolds who's been cold. Obviously, I mean, you just kind of look and go, what does this lineup look like without Arenado? Do I want to stack it? I obviously think anytime Colorado plays at home, they're always worth a look to stack. But But I think mainly I just am going to get my exposure to the three lefty outfielders, and that's probably it.
Yeah, I don't see a reason to really load up on them tonight. I do think loading up one off is great, but stack wise, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm more actually intrigued with the Atlanta stack.
Yeah, the pricing's nuts. You go from 5,600 to 4,100 after Freeman. It's just like, even if you want to do I mean, I wouldn't stack them without Freeman, but like, just look at the rest of the prices with Freeman. You could still put him in there easily.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like you said, Matt Adams is 41. Inciarte, Markakis, I mean, they're not big power guys, but obviously they get that bump in cores, and they're below 4K.
It's just interesting, though, because Bettis is a lot better against lefties and righties.
Yeah.
So all those guys we named are lefties. Like, I think I'm more intrigued with, like, the Brandon Phillips, whoever plays with Flowers and Suzuki here. Dansby will play. He's 2,700,
Yeah, and they called up
and then throw in Freeman and Ciarte probably.
Yeah, I think so.
My top two there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think Atlanta's probably my favorite stack in this game alone, just because I think they're a little bit more complete and the prices make it easier to stack them.
Yeah, I agree. I still think, though, as crazy as it sounds with these two pitching staffs in there, besides the Texas stack that I vaguely like, I think these two teams are behind everyone else we already mentioned.
Yeah, I think because of the lineups and because of what we've seen, ownership
maybe
is still going to be
Atlanta's ahead of Chicago and like Miami because we're not really stacking those teams. Like, maybe we're stacking Chicago a little bit, but like, I think Atlanta is still behind Detroit and the Yankees.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just because obviously those offenses aren't as consistent as those two.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So, going Chase Field, Zach Greinke versus Colin McHugh. I'm not going to really look to stack Houston because there's no price discount here. You would obviously have to include Altuve, Springer, which both of them over 5K, over 4K in FanDuel. I'm just not going to be stacking here.
Yeah, I don't see Houston, and I think there's maybe a little bit for Arizona, but I don't even know.
Yeah, I kind of look. I mean, Colin McHugh obviously came back and he pitched pretty well, but blew up against the White Sox. This is a guy who kind of goes through those stretches where we've seen him and he looks like a strong above average right-hander, and then we see him and he's just pretty average. I'm definitely not going to rule out the Arizona stack. Once again, I think if you're building multiple lineups, I don't mind, Jake Lamb, David Peralta, Goldie, JD Martinez. You're going to have to pay up, but there's enough pitching that's cheaper that you can risk take and kind of, use them.
Yeah, I do think they're in a pretty good spot. I don't think anybody's going to be on them, so I think that's why they're in play for GPPs for me.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to Oakland, Kansas City, and Oakland. Jarrell Cotton versus Jake Junis. I kind of like the Royals side here. That Baltimore-Oakland series was filled with offense. I could kind of see something similar here, but more on the Royals side. And, guys aren't going to play Moustakas. Guys aren't going to play Hosmer, Kane, Melky, Whit Merrifield. I mean, I kind of like the front five here.
Yeah, I think they're definitely in play. I don't, like you said, I don't really see anybody going there, and I do like them. They're one of those teams where, like, the nights you're not on them, they go off. But I do think they're a good stack, but I just don't think they're better than a couple that we mentioned or my favorite stack of the night, which we still haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't think they're, up above those guys, but I think when ownership kind of plays out, I think, I'm not saying you don't have to stack, but, I don't think getting some exposure here is a bad idea because you just look at Cotton. I mean, he's just been really bad this year. I mean, 358 WOBA to righties, 348 WOBA to lefties. He's a fly ball pitcher. Obviously, the ballpark isn't great, but, I mean, we've seen plenty of home runs in this ballpark this season.
Yeah, I actually think I do like Moose a lot. I think out here.
Who is?
Lorenzo.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, obviously he doesn't have a ton of power, but this is a guy who, it kind of matches up well.
Yeah, I think so too. We're ready to talk about my favorite stack?
Yes, let's move to it.
Yes, I am all over. I love Baltimore tonight. Gallardo getting just mashed completely by righties this year. Seattle is one of those weird ballparks. I obviously would much rather have this game in Baltimore, but there's still been, there's still some power upside there in Seattle. It's kind of weird to see it sometimes, but I'm just looking at these prices, man. I just don't get it. Like Jones, Machado, I'd go Jones, Machado, Mancini, scope here easy. 42, 42, 39, 38. Maybe toss in Beckham. If not, it could still have a lefty against them. Seth Smith's 31. Mark Trumbo from the right side, he's 3,300. Chris Davis is 2,900 tonight. Like, dude, I don't understand these prices.
Yeah, and like you said, Gallardo, I mean, 352 WOBA to righties this year, 183 ISO allowed. Machado's been red hot. Jonathan Scope has been one of the best second baseman in the league this year. Adam Jones, Adam Jones is a guy I just kind of continuously plug and play his price tags.
Yeah, he's never expensive, and he's just, I mean, this weekend in Oakland he destroyed it, and I mean the whole team did, but like they just. I don't understand this prices. Like for an offense that's batting red hot right now, staying out west, like I like them a lot.
I do too, and I think they're going to go a little bit overlooked on this slate.
And you have a couple. I do too, and you have a couple options to make here. Like even if you went Trumbo, like you could max out the outfield and put Mancini in the outfield. You can put him at first, or you can forget Trumbo and put Mancini in the outfield, put Davis at first. Like I just think there's a bunch of options. There's so many guys. Like I'm gonna narrow it down, but like I definitely like the righties more. But dude, I don't understand these. I really don't understand these prices.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I think, once again, you can stack this team and you can still fit, your expensive one-offs in with them.
Yeah, because we kind of agree that we like a couple like mid-tier, low-tier pitchers tonight too.
Yeah, like I don't see myself paying for Greinke or Quintana. So I mean, Quintana's cheap on FanDuel, but DraftKings 11.6. I mean, you're gonna have money to spend. This is a slate where I definitely value high price hitters more than pitching.
Yeah, me too. Because we kind of like Junis tonight.
Yeah, those Chiefs guys. I mean, whenever we're talking about Gausman and Junis and Eichhoff as being kind of core plays, then it says a lot about the slate.
Yeah, it really does.
No to Seattle. I'm not really looking to stack them. No to the next two teams for Philly and San Diego. Any interest for you?
No, I agree. I just think, if there's one guy I want for Seattle, it's Cruz. Gausman with those reverse splits, and Cruz has just been he's the second hottest player in baseball right now, and nobody knows it because Stanton's just killing everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, it's going to be an interesting night just because of kind of the whole volatile of pitching. But I think when it comes down to it, I think outside of cores, I think the Yankees are actually my favorite stack here.
Yeah, mine already. I'm definitely all over Baltimore, but I do like the Yankees tonight, and a couple sneaky teams like we talked about, like Kansas City, and I think even though I don't know how sneaky they're going to be, but like I just don't see a lot of people on Detroit for some reason.
No, I don't either. I don't think anyone's going to be crazy high owned. I think there's enough offenses in good spots to where ownership's kind of evened out. Outside of really, I think the later games will draw lesser ownership just because they always do.
Right, which I mean is at least good for my team. And but I always like these. I don't like when there's only like two or three offenses because it's a two or three offenses I like, and then I'm getting them at 25%, and it's almost no point,
Yeah, I think for the most part, I mean, outside of maybe a Coors batter too, you're going to see most of these guys, I think, less than 20.
Yeah, I think some of these teams you're going to get at 10.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So good night. It's going to be crazy. It should be high scoring just with all these hot offenses.
With all these hot offenses we named, since we're doing a stacky pod here, name one team that you are completely off because of the pitcher?
I think it's Houston for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I actually think for me it's either crap. I think it's Oakland.
Oakland.
Yeah. Or it might you know what? I think it's the Mets actually. Yeah, probably the Mets.
I could still see myself using a Granderson or Conforto.
Yeah, I'm saying like maybe one player. Like I think maybe Conforto, but like I don't know. And for some reason I don't know why I feel like this, but I think Travis Wood can go out there and throw a decent game. Like I just don't think – I think people are going to be on Philly if they want to go up and get Greinke, if they want to get Quintana, which you don't have to on this slate. But I just think people are going to be on Philly because they're going to see Travis Wood, but I just don't get it in that ballpark.
Yeah, I think that game's off play for offense for me. And like you said, I'm just not really on Oakland, Houston, and I think the other team would be San Francisco.
Yeah, San Fran too, because I think Conley pitches pretty well.
Yeah, so that should cover it for us. You can head over to davefantasycafe.com, check out great tools and content.